Hello everybody, this is Dan, aka Entertainmentwf, aka Page Wizard, aka blah. Anyways, it's been a while since I've made a video, so I thought I'd make a little video on a topic I was rather interested in. I was watching the Nintendo announcement for the Wii U, and I want to talk about the prices. Since people have been talking about all kinds of things involving the prices, they think, oh, it's overpriced. Some people say, oh, really? That's all? Personally, with me, I think it's a very reasonable price. Now, I'm going to explain why. Well, first off, uh, just as a sake of distinguishing, I'm going to only talk about the deluxe version, because personally I think the other one is not necessarily worth the bang for the buck compared to the other one, considering you just pay $50 more and you get a lot more stuff. But yeah, there's the basic version, which just has 8 gigabytes of memory, and it doesn't come with any game, doesn't come with Nintendo Land, and it doesn't have a lot of the little perks that the deluxe version has. So if somebody's going to buy that, I recommend getting the deluxe version. But anyways, with the point in mind, there's a couple of factors when coming to the pricing. First off, it's very difficult to make a console that is less than $300 with this amount of technology in it, considering the rough price, at least from my sources, it can be anywhere between $120 to $180 to produce, well, at least to sell you guys one of these gamepad controllers. Like, at least cutting off the manufacturing costs. So, if you take off that chunk of the price, it's actually a very reasonable price for a console. But even with the manufacturing, you can take off the wholesale amounts. Yeah, it comes off pretty safe. It seems like a pretty reasonable price. Because if you think about the pricing in general, it comes with a lot of things. You get the AC adapter, you get the charger, you get a stand for your controller, well, the gamepad. It comes with a stand for the console, and it also comes with a variety of handy things like Nintendo Land, which I'm pretty excited about. But I'll have to get one eventually. Yeah, I'm a little bit on the grad school side, so I have to wait a little bit about getting a console like that. But I'm very excited about it. So they have a lot of great games it looks like they're going to come out with. I'm personally very excited for Nintendo Land. Actually, I'm very interested in Sonic and Sega All-Stars, the charge where they basically take the Diddy Kong racing approach with it, where they take that and mix it with what they had already, where you have different vehicles, which is kind of cool. I personally think it's going to be really interesting. One thing I think was really cool, because I normally don't like horror or survival games, but I'm really excited about Zombie U. Now, I think that's going to be really cool. Especially the whole experience when it comes down to using the gamepad, and the fact that it's real time. It isn't where you have to deal with, like, okay, I'm going to go open up the door, oh, I got to pick a lock. Well, there isn't something, like usually in these games, nothing else happens while you're doing it. In this game, it's all real time, so somebody could be just talking, like, the guy can literally be coming up right behind you. You can see everything on your bigger screen while you're trying to pick the lock on your gamepad. But no, the whole thing, when it comes down to the price, personally, I wish the game prices would be a bit lower, but it's one of those things when it comes down to the media today, when it comes down to games. If people can get away with it, they'll do it. But when it comes down to the prices, it's pretty reasonable. It should be compatible with Wii games, and it's pretty compatible with all the peripherals we used to have. And besides, you can play a lot of these games with just the Wiimotes and then Nunchuck. The gamepad sometimes, well, most of the time, is just going to be an extra part that allows you to integrate, well, a synchronous environment between the player and what's going on the screen, which is a really, really nice idea. Now, personally, one other thing that makes it worth the price is the fact that even for a Nintendo console, normally I have to pay $300 in the end after taxes. $250, $300 is very reasonable for a normal Nintendo console, but this one has a lot of extra things kicking for it. Now, normally people, I don't see them talk about things like the Nintendo TV, where that's really something I'm really excited about, is the fact that it integrates everything that's in your entertainment area. So, for instance, if you want to watch television, if you want to watch Netflix, if you want to watch YouTube, it's all on the gamepad, and it's all there at the same time, which is actually a very nice feature. I'd personally buy that for, like, if it was just for my television, my Wii, and that, I would have paid easily like $50 to $80 for something like that. So that in itself has monetary value. So even in that case, it's still a very reasonable mark to have. Now, honestly, a lot of people bash the price for irrational reasons. I personally think for a marketing standpoint, it's a very reasonable price, something that's affordable for what you're getting. You're actually getting quite a bit for the Wii U Deluxe Edition. Now, people also complain about the memory. Now, normally people who complain about memory with Nintendo consoles usually doesn't play Nintendo consoles. Because with the Nintendo console, it's very rare you actually have to worry about memory, because Nintendo's actually very, very good at making sure they have small file sizes, and secondly, making sure that your software and your hardware play very nice with each other. Now, there are a couple, I guess, other guys that like doing things where they make really big files, like EA Games, for instance. They're really bad at that, making really small, compressed little files. They like making big files. For instance, if you've ever played Sims on GameCube or any variation, you'll know what I mean. But the point is, with Nintendo consoles, usually that's not a big case and worry about when it comes down to, like, if you want to play games. Usually what they give you is a lot of stuff. For instance, I have maybe, like, if I just think off the top of my head, maybe like 15 virtual console games on my Wii, for instance. I've never had to worry about, say, any issues when it comes down to memory. I still have lots and lots and lots of blocks, and that's including my N64 games, Virtual Console games, NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, all that stuff on my Wii, and it seems to be have no concern whatsoever when it comes down to memory. That's not really something you have to worry about with Nintendo consoles. Usually they're very good at making the files really small and very easy to access in general. Now, one thing I'm really excited about is the fact that they're integrating a lot of networking procedures into their console. Now, it seems like they've done a lot of work lately, and it seems very, very slick. I like it. But anyways, to the whole point, I personally think that the pricing's very fair. In fact, honestly, I think they personally went out of their way a little bit with it. They could have easily charged $400 for that whole console if they wanted to. But Nintendo always likes to keep in mind the consumer and how much they cost. So I would say the price they have there is pretty decent. I personally think that probably the basic one, the one that doesn't have a whole lot of stuff, that one could have easily been less, personally. Because there's not a whole lot there compared to the deluxe version, which I personally think is a very reasonable price. Based on the technology, what's going on inside of it. Keep in mind, it's solid state. Solid state costs a lot more than just, say, hard drives. That's just the computational basic to understand the fact that solid state costs a lot more because of the fact that it has its own limitations, but at the same time, it's not just like plugging an external hard drive into it. It doesn't have moving parts, and it doesn't have the same faults of failures, for instance. It deals a lot more with rewrite errors over time. So if you do a lot of rewriting, that's how you can wear down flash memory. But anyways, get across the point. Anyways, I think that's about all I have to say about it. But if you have any comments or you think, oh, Dan, you don't know anything about computers, you computer scientist, you don't know anything about computers, and you want to voice your opinions below and you don't agree, go for it. If you're a hater, this might not be the place to do that, but go for it if you want to. I don't personally care. But leave a comment below.